man. I swear I still get that sick feeling in my stomach when I think about that day. I'm Emily, I'm 22, and up until all this went down, my life was pretty normal in that boring, small-town southern kind of way. I lived with my mom and my stepdad, Jason, in this quiet little neighborhood where everybody knows everybody, waves when you drive by, and pretends nothing bad ever really happens. I had no reason to think my own house was hiding something ugly, but yeah, turns out I was wrong as hell. My mom had gone out that Saturday to run errands, grocery store, pharmacy, all that stuff. I stayed home because I was tired and honestly just wanted to chill, maybe read for a bit, maybe binge something stupid on my laptop. Jason was home too, supposedly working in his little home office. Everything felt normal. Too normal, I guess. I walked down the hallway to grab a book I'd left on the shelf outside his office. As I got closer, I heard this laugh. Not my mom's. Not some TV show. A woman's laugh, soft and kind of flirty, like when someone's trying to be cute. My whole body just froze for a second. I remember thinking, that's weird, who the hell is laughing in here? Then I heard voices, low and quiet, like they didn't want anybody to hear them. And that's when my gut just dropped. You know that feeling when you just know something's off, even before you see it? Yeah, that. I moved closer and peeked through the door, which was cracked just a little. And there they were. Jason. And Mrs. Langley. Our next-door neighbor. The lady who always waves at my mom, brings over banana bread, and acts all sweet like she's family. They were sitting way too close on the couch. Not just close like oh we're talking, but close like knees touching, heads almost pressed together, whispering. I saw his hand brush her leg, saw her smile at him in that slow, knowing way that made my skin crawl. I swear my heart started pounding so loud I thought they'd hear it. My brain was screaming, no, 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 this can't be what it looks like. But deep down I knew exactly what it was. It wasn't innocent. It wasn't some misunderstanding. My stepdad was messing around with the neighbor behind my mom's back, and I had just walked right into it. I tried to back up, quiet as I could, but I must have made some noise because Jason suddenly looked up. Our eyes met. And the look on his face. I'll never forget it. First shock, then panic, then something cold and angry. He stood up fast and walked toward me, and suddenly he didn't look like the guy who grilled burgers and joked around at family dinners. He looked dangerous. Emily, he said, low and sharp, you didn't see anything, you hear me? My throat went dry. I couldn't even get a word out. He stepped closer, too close, like he was trying to box me in. You do not tell your mom about this. Not a damn word. If you do, it's gonna cause a whole lot of trouble. And that'll be on you. The way he said it made my stomach twist. It wasn't just a warning. It was a threat. Plain and simple. My hands were shaking so bad I had to grab the wall to steady myself. I nodded because I didn't know what else to do. I was scared, straight up. But even while I nodded, something inside me was screaming. My mom didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve to be lied to in her own house, by the man she trusted. And I knew right then that no matter how scared I wasn't gonna keep this secret forever. Not for him. Not for anybody. After I walked away from that hallway, I didn't even know what to do with myself. My legs felt weak, like I might just drop right there on the floor. I went into my room and shut the door, heart still racing, staring at my phone like it was gonna magically tell me what the hell I was supposed to do next. I kept replaying what I saw in my head, over and over, Jason sitting there with Mrs. Langley, whispering, touching her like my mom didn't even exist. Every time I thought about it, my chest got tight and this wave of anger mixed with fear just kept washing over me. A few minutes later, I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Heavy. My door creaked open and Jason stood there, leaning against the frame like he owned the place, which, yeah, he kinda did, but in that moment it felt different. He wasn't pretending to be nice anymore. His face was serious, eyes dark. "We need to talk," he said. I didn't answer. I just sat there on my bed, staring at him, trying not to show how freaked out I was. He came in and shut the door behind him, and that made my stomach drop even more. "Look," he started, lowering his voice, "what you saw earlier. That ain't what you think it is. Folks love to jump to conclusions, and I don't need you stirring up trouble in this family over nothing." I laughed, but it came out shaky. "Over nothing? You were basically sitting in her lap, Jason." His jaw tightened. "Watch how you talk to me." That's when I realized this wasn't just him trying to explain himself. He was trying to control the story. To control me. He walked closer, pointing a finger like he was scolding a kid, even though I was a grown woman. "You tell your mom something like that, you're gonna blow this whole family apart. You really want to be the one responsible for that?" I felt this rush of heat in my chest. "You're the one blowing it up, not me." He shook his head slowly, like I was stupid. "No, sweetheart. You are. Because nobody has to know. This can stay between us. You keep your mouth shut, and everybody stays happy. Your mom, you, everybody." The way he said it made me feel sick. Like he was offering me some twisted deal. "Keep quiet, and pretend everything's fine." I stood up, hands shaking, and said, "You're disgusting. I'm not covering for you." That's when his tone changed. He dropped the fake calm and leaned in close, eyes cold. "You go running your mouth, and things are gonna get real ugly for you, Emily. You still live under this roof. You still need money, help, all that. Don't forget that." I just stared at him. He was threatening me, straight up, trying to scare me into silence. And yeah, part of me was terrified, but another part of me was furious. Who the hell did he think he was, trying to bully me like that? When he finally left my room, I sat there shaking, trying to breathe. My phone was in my hand, my mom's name right there on the screen. I wanted to call her so bad. But I was scared of what would happen if I did. Scared of Jason, scared of tearing everything apart, scared of what my life would look like after the truth came out. But I also knew this, if I didn't tell her, I'd never be able to look my mom in the eye again. And that scared me even more. So I made a decision. The second she walked through that door, I was telling her everything. No matter what Jason said. No matter what he tried to do. And I had no idea just how messy it was about to get. That evening felt like it was dragging on forever, like the whole house was holding its breath right along with me. Every little noise made me jump. The fridge humming, the AC kicking on, the front door of the neighbor's house slamming shut, all of it felt louder than it should have been. Jason was walking around like nothing happened, flipping channels on the TV, grabbing a beer, acting like he hadn't just tried to scare me into keeping his dirty little secret. Every time I saw him, my stomach twisted up, but I kept my face neutral because I knew if I tipped my hand too soon, he'd just try something else. My mom finally got home around 7. I heard her keys in the door and it was like my heart slammed into my throat. I stood up from the couch so fast I almost knocked over my drink. Jason looked over at me, eyes narrowing just a little, like he already knew what I was about to do. "Hey, baby," my mom said when she walked in, smiling tiredly, dropping her purse on the table. "Long day." "Mom, we need to talk," I said, and my voice came out shaky no matter how hard I tried to sound calm. Jason immediately cut in. "Can it wait? I'm watching the game." "No, it can't," I snapped, turning to him. "Go outside. Please." My mom looked between us, confused. "What's going on?" I took a deep breath, feeling like I was about to step off a cliff. I saw Jason with Mrs. Langley today. In the hallway. They were all over each other. The room went dead quiet. Even the TV felt too loud. My mom just stared at me, eyes wide. "What?" Jason jumped up. "Now hold on, that ain't." "Don't," I said, my voice shaking but loud. Don't lie. I saw you. You tried to tell me to keep my mouth shut, and you threatened me. My mom turned to him slowly, like she didn't recognize the man standing there. Jason, is that true? His face went pale for a split second, then he tried to play it off, laughing like it was all some big misunderstanding. Baby, she's blowin' this way out of proportion. I was just talkin' to the neighbor, that's all. Then why were your hands on her? I shot back. He glared at me, but I didn't back down. My mom's voice was quiet, but it cut through everything. Jason, tell me the truth. Right now. He hesitated, just long enough for her to know. And when he didn't answer, I saw something in my mom's eyes break. She covered her mouth, tears already forming. Oh my God. Emily, is this real? I nodded, even though it hurt. I'm so sorry, Mom. Jason started swearing, pacing the room, saying this was all going too far, that I was ruining his life. My mom told him to stop, to shut up, and for the first time in years, he actually listened. Get out, she said, pointing at the door. He froze. What? Get out of my house, she repeated, voice trembling but firm. Go to your sister's, go to a hotel, I don't care. Just get out. He looked at me one more time, full of rage, like he wanted to say something, but then he grabbed his keys and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. My mom collapsed onto the couch, crying, and I sat next to her, holding her while she tried to process everything. And even though I knew I did the right thing, a part of me was still terrified of what Jason might do next. The house felt completely different after Jason left, like all the air had been sucked out of it and replaced with something heavy and sharp that you could almost taste. My mom kept sitting there on the couch, staring at the wall, barely blinking, like her whole world had just been ripped apart in front of her and she didn't even know where to start putting the pieces back together. I stayed right next to her, rubbing her back, even though my own hands were still shaking from everything that had happened. She kept whispering things like, I don't understand. I don't understand, over and over again, and every time she said it, my heart cracked a little more. This wasn't just about Jason cheating. This was about years of her trusting him, building a life with him, believing he was a good man, and finding out it was all a lie. Not even 30 minutes after he stormed out, her phone started blowing up. Jason was calling. Texting. Leaving voicemails. I could see the screen light up over and over again, his name popping up like some kind of nightmare that wouldn't stop. Don't answer, I said softly. She nodded, wiping her eyes, but I could tell she wanted to hear what he had to say, probably hoping he'd somehow make it all better, even though deep down she knew he couldn't. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Jason. You really did it. You happy now? I stared at the screen, my stomach twisting. Another message came through right after. You think you're some kind of hero? You just ruined everything. I didn't reply, but my hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the phone. My mom noticed. What is it? He's texting me, I admitted. Her face hardened in a way I'd never seen before. Block him. Right now. I did, but it didn't make me feel any safer. I kept expecting to hear his truck pull back into the driveway, kept imagining him pounding on the door, yelling, trying to force his way back in. Every little sound outside made me jump. The next day, things got even messy. Mrs. Langley showed up. Yeah, the neighbor herself. She came knocking on our door like she had the nerve to act all innocent, saying she just wanted to clear the air. My mom opened the door, and I swear I'd never seen someone look so calm and so furious at the same time. Stay away from my family, my mom told her, voice cold. Mrs. Langley tried to say it was just a mistake, that it didn't mean anything, but that only made my mom angrier. She told her to leave, and if she ever came back, she'd call the cops. When the door finally closed, my mom leaned against it, shaking. This is my fault, she whispered. I should have seen it. No, it's not, I said, holding her. He did this. Not you. But even as I said it, I knew the worst part still wasn't over. Jason wasn't the type to just disappear quietly, and something in my gut told me he was already planning how to twist this whole thing to make himself the victim. I really wish I could say that once Jason left the house, everything started getting better, but that would be a straight-up lie. If anything, that was when the real nightmare kicked in. He didn't come back in person, but he found 100 other ways to make his presence known, like some kind of ghost that refused to leave us alone. It started with the calls. He'd use different numbers so blocking him didn't even matter. Sometimes he'd leave voicemails, his voice going from sweet and apologetic to angry and threatening in the span of a few seconds. One minute he was saying he loved my mom and that he made a mistake, the next he was blaming me, saying I poisoned her against him, saying I was some ungrateful brat who just wanted to ruin his life. My mom tried to be strong, but I could see how much it was wearing her down. She'd jump every time her phone rang. She barely slept. I barely slept either. Every night I kept thinking about what he'd said in my room, about how he warned me things would get ugly, and I kept wondering if this was what he meant. Then he showed up at my work. I was on my lunch break when I saw his truck pull into the parking lot, and my heart just about stopped. I told my manager I needed a minute and went outside, even though every part of me was screaming not to. He was leaning against his truck like he was just there to chat, but the look in his eyes told a different story. "You got a lot of nerve," he said, as soon as he saw me. "Leave me alone," I replied, my voice shaking. He laughed, low and bitter. "You think you can just blow up my marriage and walk away? You don't get it, Emily. You don't know what you've done." "I told the truth," I said. "That's what I did." He stepped closer, too close. "You should have kept your mouth shut. Families keep their business inside the family." That's when I realized he wasn't sorry. Not for cheating. Not for hurting my mom. He was only mad that he got caught. I told him if he didn't leave, I'd call the police. That finally made him back off, but not before he shot me one last look full of pure hate. When I got home and told my mom what happened, she broke down all over again. That was the moment she decided enough was enough. The next morning, she went to a lawyer and started talking about divorce and restraining orders. And even though it was scary, a small part of me finally felt a little safer, knowing she was choosing to protect us instead of protecting him. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that Jason wasn't done yet. He didn't seem like the kind of man who could just let go. The weeks after everything exploded felt unreal, like I was walking through somebody else's life instead of my own. On the outside, it probably looked calm enough. Jason wasn't around, the house was quieter, and my mom was trying to keep up some sense of routine, but inside those walls there was still this constant tension, like something bad could happen at any second if we let our guard down. Every time a car slowed in front of the house, we both froze. Every time the phone buzzed, my mom's hand would hover over it, scared to even look. She went through with the divorce paperwork faster than I ever thought she would. A lawyer helped her file everything and also pushed for a temporary restraining order once she showed them the messages Jason had been sending, the ones where he'd bounce between "I'm sorry, baby, I love you" and "you better tell that girl to keep her mouth shut." Seeing all that in black and white made it hit different. It wasn't just emotional chaos anymore, it was proof that he was unstable and dangerous. For the first time in years, I think my mom finally saw him for who he really was, not the version she wanted him to be. That hurt her, but it also made her stronger in this quiet, stubborn way. She started locking the doors, checking the windows at night, doing all these little things that said, without words, "I'm not letting him have control anymore." One night, we were sitting at the kitchen table with mugs of coffee, even though it was late, because neither of us could sleep anyway. The house was dark and quiet, and it felt weirdly peaceful for a moment. My mom looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't told me. I might have wasted years of my life with that man." That hit me so hard I didn't even know what to say. I just nodded, because she was right. There were so many times I almost kept quiet. Times when I told myself maybe it wasn't my place, maybe I'd imagined it, maybe it would all just blow over if I ignored it. And yeah, a big part of me was scared of Jason, especially after the way he talked to me in my room, after the way he tried to twist everything into my fault. But the thought of carrying that secret forever, of looking at my mom every day and knowing she was being lied to, felt worse than anything he could threaten me with. Jason eventually faded out of our lives, at least for the most part. The restraining order helped. The neighbor moved away not long after, probably because the whole street knew what happened, and nobody wanted to look at her the same way again. The house slowly started to feel like home instead of a battlefield. We still had bad days, still had moments where the anger and the sadness came rushing back, but it wasn't constant anymore. I still think about it all, though. I still get mad when I remember how he tried to scare me, how close he came to getting away with it, how easily he would have kept living his double life if I hadn't walked down that hallway at the wrong moment. It messes with your head, knowing how fragile the truth can be, how much damage one lie can do. So yeah, that's why I'm posting this here. I want to know what other people think. If you were in my shoes, if you saw something that could shatter your family and the person responsible tried to bully you into silence, would you still speak up, even if it meant everything would change, or would you choose the quiet path and hope the truth never came out?